Tunde Adeyemi stood at the edge of his balcony, the Lagos skyline stretching out before him, but all he could feel was emptiness. His marriage to Nkechi, the woman he believed was his destiny, felt like a cage. It had been 5 years since they married, and the painful truth gnawed at him every day. They would never have children. His dreams of a family, of a legacy beyond the ring, had withered away. And despite all the seer's promises, all the visions Baba Ajasro had painted, something inside Tunde felt wrong. As he leaned against the railing, lost in thoughts, a memory flashed in his mind of a young woman, someone new. Her name was Ireti. They had met by chance a few months ago. Tunde had gone to a local market trying to clear his head after yet another argument with Nkechi about their childlessness. He wasn't looking for anything or anyone, but when his eyes locked onto Ireti, something inside him shifted. She was everything Nkechi wasn't. Her beauty was soft, understated, but it was her simple smile that captivated him.
Can I help you with anything?
I don't know, you seem like a nice girl. Forgive me for interrupting your day.
One conversation led to another, and before he knew it, Tunde was visiting the market every day just to see her. It wasn't long before their relationship deepened. The warmth and affection Ireti gave him filled the void Nkechi had left. And when she told him she was pregnant, Tunde felt a surge of emotions he hadn't known was possible. He was going to be a father. But as the joy washed over him, a storm was brewing back home. One evening, as Tunde returned to the house he shared with Nkechi, he noticed her sitting in the living room, a glass of wine in her hand. Her eyes were dark, intense, she knew. "You're late," Nkechi said, her voice cold, cutting through the air like a blade. Tunde hesitated, sensing the danger in her tone.
I was out.
Out? Out with that girl, right? What's her name again? Ireti?
Nkechi, it's not what you think.
Don't bother. You think I haven't noticed? You've been pulling away from me for months, but I don't think you'll stoop so low to start seeing another woman behind my back.
Ireti is pregnant.
For a moment, the room was silent. Nkechi's eyes widened and her breath caught.
Pregnant? You got her pregnant?
Yes. I'm going to have a child, Nkechi. Something you and I could never.
Something we could never have. Is that it, Tunde? You think you can? After everything I have done for you.
What have you done, Nkechi? Tell me, win my fights. Give me endorsements. Please tell me what you have done for me.
You think Baba Ajasoro found you by accident? You think he just saw you on the streets one day? I made him come to you. I hired him to speak those words. Every vision he gave you, the sacrifice I made for you, you were mine the moment I laid eyes on you.
Tunde's heart pounded in his chest, the weight of her confession crashing down on him.
You used him to manipulate me.
Yes. I had to make you believe you needed me to succeed. And now you think you can just walk away from this marriage, from me?
Tunde stepped back, his mind reeling. He had been living a lie. Everything, the marriage, the seer, the visions, it had all been orchestrated by Nkechi to trap him.
I'm done, Nkechi. Ireti and I are going to raise this child. I don't love you anymore. Maybe I never did.
You think you can just leave me and live happily ever after with her? I won't let you. I will ruin you, Tunde. And that girl, I will deal with her and her father myself.
Tunde's blood ran cold.
What are you talking about? What do you mean?
Nkechi's smile was twisted, malicious. Tunde's stomach churned with dread. Nkechi's voice dropped to a whisper. thick with menace.
Oh, you have no idea. You are even more stupid than I thought. That girl you've been running to, she's not who you think she is. Ireti is Baba Ajasoro's daughter.
Tunde froze, his mind racing.
No, that's impossible.
Oh, it is very possible. You think she just appeared in your life by chance? You were drawn to her because her father sent her to seduce you. He sees how successful you've become, and now he wants a bigger taste of the cake for his family. This is all part of his plan from the beginning.
Tunde felt the ground shift beneath him. He had been a pawn all along, manipulated not just by Nkechi, but by the very seer who had promised him glory. His head spun as the betrayal settled in his chest like a stone.
Eriti doesn't know. She can't be part of this. She is innocent. I don't believe you.
But Nkechi's laughter cut through his denial like a blade.
Oh, trust me, she does. And now, with her carrying your child, they think they've won.
Tunde's world collapsed. He couldn't stay in this house with Nkechi. Couldn't face the tangled web of lies that had ensnared him. Without another word, he stormed out, his heart racing as he headed straight for Iriti's small apartment. When he arrived, she opened the door, her face lighting up in a soft smile that quickly faded when she saw the look in his eyes.
Baby, what's wrong? Talk to me.
He didn't answer her immediately. His mind was turned between love and suspicion.
Eriti, is it true? Are you Baba Ajisoro's daughter?
Her eyes widened, and for a moment, he saw the truth in them. Her lips trembled, and tears welled up in her eyes.
Tunde, I can explain.
You knew? You knew all along that you were sent to seduce me, to trap me.
Iriti sobbed, shaking her head.
I didn't want this. I didn't want to lie to you. My father, he made me do it. He said it was your destiny.
My destiny. This was never about my destiny. It was about control, manipulation. I trusted you, Eriti. I thought this child would be my chance at something real.
It's real. Tunde, I love you. I never wanted this to happen this way. Please, believe me.
Tunde's heart broke as he stared at her, torn between the love he had grown to feel and the betrayal that now poisoned it. He turned away, his chest tight with grief.
What have I done to deserve this? I don't know what to believe anymore.
As Tunde walked into the night, the city of Lagos buzzed around him, indifferent to the chaos in his heart. He had been deceived by the two women he had loved, betrayed by the seer he once trusted. His glory, his dreams, and even the future child now seemed tainted by lies. That night, he made a decision. He packed a single bag, the essentials, a few clothes, his gloves and a passport. There was nothing left from him here. Without saying goodbye, Tunde boarded a plane bound for America. It was time to start over. The cold breeze of New York City hit his face as Tunde stepped off the bus. It was a stark contrast to the sweltering heat of Lagos. It was exactly what he needed, a fresh start. He found a small gym in Brooklyn, not much but enough to keep him fighting, to keep his dream alive. He didn't know how he would make it, but he was determined to rise again. That's when he met Sandra. Sandra was different, a widow with 3 kids. She was a sports agent, tough yet compassionate. She first saw him when she stepped by the gym to check on one of her fighters. Tunde's powerful punches caught her eyes, but it wasn't just his strength. There was something in his eyes, a fire, but also pain. She approached him cautiously.
You've got a strong punch.
Her voice was warm but firm. Tunde barely glanced away, focused on his workout. Thanks, he muttered.
You're not from around here, are you?
Sandra asked, sensing his accent. Tunde finally turned to face her.
Nigeria. came here to start over.
His voice tinged with bitterness. Sandra studied him for a moment.
Look, I don't usually do this, but I think I can help you. You need a new manager, right?
Tunde paused, his heart racing. Could he trust her? Could he trust anyone ever again?
I'm not looking for help. I don't need more lies.
Sandra didn't walk away. Instead, she stepped closer, her voice softer.
I'm not like them, Tunde. I know about betrayal. I know what it feels like when the people you love the most leave you with nothing. But I also know that you can rise again, if you let someone help you.
For the first time in a long time, Tunde allowed a flicker of hope into his heart. He looked into Sandra's eyes and saw something he hadn't seen in anyone in a long time. Genuine kindness. Months passed and Sandra became more than just Tunde's manager. She was his confidant, his biggest supporter, and soon his love. Slowly, she helped him rebuild his career. Her children adored him, and despite his rough exterior, Tunde found himself loving them too. One night, after tucking her 3 kids into bed, Sandra joined Tunde on the porch of their small house in the suburbs. The night was quiet, the stars bright.
You've changed my life. I never thought I could love again. Thanks for being true and honest to me.
Sandra smiled, leaning her head on his shoulder.
You've given me something I never thought I'd find again either, a second chance.
Tunde looked into her eyes, feeling something he hadn't felt in years. Peace. Years later, Tunde stood in the center of a packed stadium, the lights blinding, the crowds roaring. He had finally made it. He was fighting for the heavyweight title of the world, something he had only dreamed of when he first arrived in America. As the bell rang and the fight began, his thoughts wandered to Sandra, sitting ringside with the children. She had been his rock through it all, believing in him when no one else did. He could see her smiling, her eyes filled with pride. Her kids cheered on like he was their own father. In the final round, with sweat pouring down his face, Tunde threw a punch that knocked his opponent to the mat. The crowd erupted, and Tunde knew this victory wasn't just his. It belonged to Sandra, to her children, and to the life they had built together. Later that night, as they celebrated, Sandra pulled him aside. I have something to tell you, she said, her eyes twinkling with excitement. Tunde looked at her, confused but curious.
What is it?
We're going to have a baby, she whispered, tears filling her eyes. Tunde's heart swelled. He pulled her into his arms, overwhelmed with emotion. A baby, he repeated, hardly believing the words. Yes, Tunde, a baby. For the first time in years, Tunde let himself cry. Not from pain or loss, but from pure joy. He had found a family, one that he had never thought he deserved. And now, they were growing even more. As they stood there, wrapped in each other's arms, Tunde knew that no matter how many fights he won, this was his greatest victory. Tunde and Sandra's life together was filled with love. They welcomed their baby, a beautiful little girl, into their family, and Tunde loved her as fiercely as he loved Sandra and her other children. Through every challenge, through every victory, they stood side by side. Tunde had come from nothing, but with Sandra, he had found everything. And for the rest of his life, he fought for the love that had saved him. And this time, it wasn't about fists. It was about heart.